zero exponent is one of my favorite exponents. There are several ways to look at this, but we're going to take a look at where it comes from and why it is what it is. So let's say we have x to the fourth over x to the fourth. Whatever x is, it doesn't really matter. It can be any number. There are two ways to think about this. One way to think about this is using our exponent rules. Now, according to our exponent rules, if we have x to the fourth over x to the fourth, we can subtract those two exponents, and it gives us x to the 0 power. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now, looking at this from another perspective, we could expand this and say, okay, we have 4 x's in the numerator, we have 4 x's in the denominator. So everything divides out when we start looking for common factors. Each individual pair of these x's divides out, and when everything numerator and denominator divides out, we are left with 1. So since x to the fourth over x to the fourth has to equal x to the 0 according to our exponent rules, and since x to the fourth over x to the fourth has to equal 1 according to the idea of division, that means that x to the 0 has to equal 1. You can do this with any number as your base and any exponent. It doesn't matter what it is. If we were to take a look at y to the n power divided by y to the n power, well, according to our exponent rules shortcut, we have the same base, so we can subtract our exponents. N minus n is 0, so that's y to the 0. But if we think about it in terms of division, we have something divided by itself. It does not matter what it is you're dividing. If you have something divided by itself, the answer has to be 1. Therefore, y to the 0 has to equal 1, according to the transitive property. If you wanted to use numbers here, if the variables confuse you, we could use numbers. We could say we have 2 to the 6th power divided by 2 to the 6th power. Well, again, according to our exponent rules, same base, so we can subtract our exponents as a shortcut. 6 minus 6 is 0. So that has to be 2 to the 0. But if we were to think of it as basic division, 2 to the 6th divided by itself, anything divided by itself is 1, so 2 to the 0 has to be 1. You could keep doing this with any variables or any numbers because this simply comes from something divided by itself. The exponent of 0 has to come from the same exponent numerator and denominator, which will always give us something divided by itself. Anything to the 0 power is going to have to equal 1. It's one of those rules that I would highly recommend that you memorize so that you don't confuse yourself later, but the idea of where it comes from is simply division by itself.